Okay, I want to deal with this right here, which is AIDS and Ebola. All right, let's look at some of the facts. AIDS, from 1981 to 2004, more than 20 million people have died from AIDS worldwide, most of them of African descent. If you want to do more reading on AIDS and Ebola, and they were manufactured around the same time at the same place, population control extermination weapons, United States Army Bioweapons Lab, Fort Detrick, Maryland, it's still there. You can't get in unless you have top security clearance, okay? 2 books I would direct you to. One is written by a white, one is written by a black. One of them is called Emerging Viruses. Emerging Viruses is a book that was written by Lynn Horowitz, one of America's top biochemists, well-credentialed, well-certified European, who basically said, and he's no friend of black folks, he did not write the book for black people. He was just talking about his findings, and that was that AIDS in no way, shape, or form was a natural disease, that it was man-made and manufactured.
Thank you.
We've also seen in the research that the AIDS virus selectively seeks out cells that have a high concentration of melanin within them. So the virus actually looks for black people. Okay? Now, one thing needs to be said, because you do have people who would say that AIDS don't exist. I don't agree with that at all. AIDS does exist. But what I will agree with them on is that they keep expanding the definition of AIDS on purpose to include things that are not AIDS because it serves the profit motive. The more people diagnosed with AIDS, the more drugs you push, the more money the Wall Street drug companies make. Everybody follow me? So you can very well be diagnosed with AIDS and not have it. Let's look at the tests, okay? The test that they use for the AIDS test does not test for whether you have the disease. It tests for whether you have the virus. So let's say you go to the doctor, right? Whether you have the antibodies. You go to the doctor right now, I want to take an AIDS test. They're not testing to see whether you have AIDS. They're testing to see if you have any of the AIDS antibodies that any of us can have at any time because you breathe them in through the environment. It's just like testing for cancer antibodies. Most of us have cancer antibodies in us right now, but we don't have cancer. They're in the air. You can breathe them in. And depending on what type of medication you take, depending on your blood type, depending on your diet, you can very easily be diagnosed with AIDS and not even have it. Wow. Okay? United States Congress Office of Accounting, they said that a heterosexual male was, when you take the AIDS test as a heterosexual male, 50% of the time the test is wrong if you're a heterosexual male. Pregnant women can often get a wrong diagnosis. Certain types of immunizations can bring about a wrong diagnosis. That's why whenever you take an AIDS test, you have to sign a disclaimer that you will not sue if you find out you did not have it. Okay? Yes, that's why they make you sign. Because if this is not right, you cannot come back and sue us for this. Because it's only a test. And tests can be wrong. Here's the thing I gotta understand. There is no true science in America. Because America is a capitalistic society, which means everything is based on how much money can be made. So that means they will keep truth away from you if it hurts money, and they will make up a truth if it advances money. There's too much money to be made off of AIDS for them to ever accurately diagnose it. The test is designed to misdiagnose people, just like ADHD. The criteria are designed to make sure your son get misdiagnosed. The criteria are intentionally vague. Because the vaguer the criteria, the easier the diagnosis, the more money made off the medication. AIDS is the same way. And the crazy thing about AIDS is, what do they give AIDS people? AZT. AZT kills the immune system more than AIDS does. And AZT is the main drug of choice that they use for AIDS people. Totally destroys the immune system. In fact, there's some research that says more people with AIDS die from the AZT than from the AIDS. Okay? In Africa, they lump everything in as AIDS and Ebola. They're doing it right now. Buddy of mine from Liberia, he said that they are poisoning the water supply. People are getting sick from the water, And they're calling it Ebola even though it's not. Because that way they can do what? They can incarcerate people. Medical incarceration. They can contaminate you. Concentration camp. So we got to be on the lookout for how they just expand. So there is a such thing as Ebola. But you got a lot of people being diagnosed with it who don't have it because it serves a political agenda. AIDS is real. But I would argue that at least 20% of the black people in America diagnosed with AIDS don't even have it. Because it feeds the profit motive of the corporations that sell the medications. What we also know about AIDS, the other book was by a black homosexual named Boyd Graves, who I had the opportunity to meet. I met him at the Black African Holocaust Conference in Harlem a couple years ago. Boyd Graves was a homosexual naval officer, or Air Force, but I think it was Navy, who contracted AIDS. He was gay. He decided to research AIDS and find out where it came from, this disease that destroyed his life. And guess what he finds? And if you get his book, which I recommend, I think it's one of the books all black people should have, it's called State Origin. It's a blue book. It's called State Origin by Boyd Graves, the manufacturing of the HIV virus. In the middle of the book, he has a flow chart that he found in the government library that shows how they made AIDS. And also shows that they had a cure for AIDS before they let the disease out. Same thing with cancer. There's a cure for every cancer. But there's no money in curing. The money is in killing. Okay? You have to keep that in mind. Magic Johnson and that whole AIDS hoax. I have two perspectives on the Magic Johnson situation. Number one, they recruited him to act as if he had AIDS, to scare all black people into the possibility that they also have it. The other thing I think, which I think is more plausible, was that he took the AIDS test, came up positive for the antibodies, didn't have the disease, and they paid him to shut the hell up because it would have cost them billions of dollars for him to say that you cannot trust the AIDS test because I took it and I didn't have AIDS. See? There was two doctors in Africa who developed the cure for AIDS, two Africans. One of them was murdered, and I think the other one was stripped of his patents, forced to sell them, and was never allowed to practice and do any more AIDS research. Temple University last week, North Philly, where I live, they claim that they found a medication that neutralizes the AIDS disease. How much you would have bet it never goes to market? Why? Because there's more money in the drugs than it is in curing. Thanks. That's number one. And number two is an African racial extermination strategy. So the last thing you need is people coming up with ways for black folks not to catch it and kill each other with it. By 2005, the number of people living with AIDS reached its highest level. 40 million people, mostly African, African-American, Caribbean, African, Asian females are living with this man-made disease. Let me ask y'all a question. I was in Malawi a couple years ago, Southeast Africa. I escorted an elder over there. He met up with some of his Korean friends. They were Korean. They was over there trying to exploit Africa and they wanted him to help them. So me and the Korean argued the whole trip. But anyway, me and the Korean had a conversation about AIDS. So they was talking about AIDS in Southeast Africa and AIDS is killing the continent, da-da-da-da. And guess what this Korean man said? No, he doesn't like black folks. Guess what he said? He said, I have no doubt that you are correct about one thing. And that is that AIDS was invented to kill off your people. I said, why do you say that? This is a conversation we have in Malawi. He says because the white man is saying that the reason why AIDS is so high in the black community in America is because of promiscuity. Too many men sleeping around, gay people sleeping around, multiple baby moms, multiple baby daddies that spread the AIDS. He said that's bullshit. I said, why you say that, Mr. Korean? He said, because, he said, I live in Korea. We have one of the highest prostitution rates in the world. He said, our prostitution rate is significantly higher than anything black Americans is doing. And we have almost no AIDS problem. He said, our prostitutes are poor, they are destitute, almost no medical insurance, no protection from the government, and almost no AIDS in a sexually promiscuous culture. So how can it be that sexual promiscuity is breeding AIDS in black folk when we have a lot of sexual promiscuity in Korea? Very low condom usage and everything else, almost no AIDS. He said it's because they're giving it to y'all. Damn. They're giving it to y'all. And we need to understand that. Biological weapons lab. Anybody with common sense know what that means. United States Army, biological weapons. That means you're about the business of what? Developing diseases that target certain people.
Genocide.
And this is one of the reasons why I keep telling you all, as a psychologist, to stop immunizing your children. Now, the question is, what do I do if I don't give them shots? They won't be able to go to school. That's a lie. There's only 2 states in America that dictate the child must be immunized in order to go to public or charter school. And even in those states, you can get a lawyer and get around it. And that is Mississippi and West Virginia. This is California. So guess what? You do not have to immunize your child in order for them to go to school. So what do? 3 strategies. Number 1, you go to the County Board of Health. County Board of Health, there's an exemption form that you can download, print, sign, notarize, give it to the school secretary, life goes on. Number 2, you can write a letter. I just had a parent do this in New Jersey. You write a letter, get it notarized, my child will not be getting shots, I'm against it, it's against my religious and my personal political views. My child will not be getting shots. You get it notarized, you go to the school. 3rd thing, you have your lawyer call the school. Once in a while, you might have to have a lawyer intervene. Once in a while. Most of the time, you can handle it on your own. Normally, when I see lawyers as necessary is when the child goes to a private school, like one of the rich white private schools. That's when you might need a lawyer. But if you're dealing with public or parochial school, any publicly funded program, the children do not have to be immunized if it's publicly funded. All you have to do is download that exemption form from the County Board of Health, write you a notarized letter, and what's the 3rd way, which is the easiest? Have your doctor fill out the immunization exemption form. That's the simplest way. Get your doctor to do it. Here's the problem with the doctors. Most doctors will have their medical insurance revoked, malpractice insurance, if it's found out that they're treating children who are not immunized. That's why a lot of doctors are afraid of that. Because if they treat your child, God forbid, if you decide to sue them for whatever reason, they're not protected. Queen.
My question is, what about, I know we talked about elementary schools, what about colleges? Well, colleges won't let students in if they can't show immunization records.
You can get around that.
Okay.
If it's a public university. Private schools can decide what they want. A public university, you can get around it. They can't force you to immunize at a public university. Okay? Yes, ma'am.
What about people who are in medical fields, like a lot of hospitals, a lot of...
It differs. I do know for a fact, if you're a nurse or a doctor at a public hospital, okay, you can get around it, because I knew of a nurse who did. However, they made it so difficult for her to do her job, she just went ahead and got the shots. They required her to wear a certain type of an outfit, a certain type of a face mask. I mean, she was looking like an alien or something when she went to work. But you can get around it if it's public. If it's private, they can dictate whatever they want. But even still, you have a little bit of leeway. Okay? So, stop immunizing the children. In my experience, our children who are not immunized are healthier than the ones who are. They catch less colds, they can sit still longer, more intelligent, more disciplined across the board. Not for everyone, but generally, from what I find, your child can only be benefited with the immunization. It also works when you leave the country. You're going to Africa. There is an international immunization exemption form that you can fill out that precludes you from having to get a shot to go home. So there's, even on an international level, you don't have to take the shots. Now, some of you are saying, what's the problem with the shots white people take them too? Let's talk about that. I knew a brother who used to drive the trucks that delivered the immunizations in Philadelphia. One day he accidentally got the deliveries mixed up. The immunization for the ghetto accidentally went to the white neighborhood. And the immunizations for the white neighborhood accidentally went to the ghetto. So he dropped off the immunizations that was for the white kids in the ghetto. Before he could get up to the white neighborhood to give them the ghetto immunizations, he got a phone call. He didn't even know he was under surveillance. And they asked him, where you taking them shots? And I forget what the shot was, measles, whatever. He said, well, I accidentally dropped this package off there. But since it's the same thing, I figured it didn't matter. His supervisor told him, it is not the same thing. You will go and pick it up and take it to where the package says. I'm bringing this up to say what, black people? The immunizations they bring into the hood ain't the same ones they take into the suburbs. It's important that y'all understand that. I believe that they're putting time-release cancer in the immunizations that they're giving to black children. Just like you can go get some time-release vitamin C or some time-release Prozac, where some comes out as soon as you take it. A little bit more gets released at 2 o'clock, and the rest of it gets released at 6 o'clock around dinner. How about they have the same thing for disease? How about you get breast cancer at 40, heart cancer at 60, prostate cancer at 80. I think they're time releasing us with diseases. If you look at when most of us get our cancers, it's around the same ages a lot of times. Stop taking the shots. You don't need them. If you study the history of American immunization, you'll find that the immunization movement grew up around a need to protect whites from diseases black people didn't even get.
Come on. That's right.
The immunization works by doing what? Pushing your natural immune system out the way so the chemicals can work. If you have an arm that works, why would you cut it off and put a fake one on?
Yeah, come on. Make it plain. Make it plain.
Let me go a little bit further. In order to give you the flu vaccination, they have to put flu in you. Same thing with measles and everything else. They put a little bit of the disease in your body. The theory being what? That your body will develop a resistance to that small amount of flu so it'll be able to fight off future attacks. That's the logic. But is that the reality? Stop taking them flu shots. Time-release cancer. Time-release diabetes. Time-release hypertension. Do you realize that America has over 500 doctors who come to work on a daily basis to come up with diseases for black people? That's their job at the bioweapons lab. What new thing can we give to blacks? See, abortion was the first population control strategy. Margaret Sanger, Planned Parenthood, the early 20s. And by the way, W.E.B. Du Bois helped her out. But in his defense, I don't think he knew what she was up to. He just thought she was a good white person. And where did Margaret Sanger go to push Planned Parenthood? The black church. That's her first place. That's where she got her most support. She got with the pastors and said these women need to stop having these babies out of wedlock. They're not married. And the pastor said, See how they use them? And speaking of Planned Parenthood, I don't know if you know this, but 85% of Planned Parenthood centers are adjacent to black ghettos. Now some of y'all gonna say, well, white women get abortions too, but not at the rate you do. Black women have the highest abortion rate in the developed world. The only other women who get as much abortions as you are your sisters in South Africa. Ain't that interesting? Ain't that interesting? We've aborted over 3 million African lives since the 70s, which is interesting. Because if you look at the black on black male homicide rate and you compare it to the prenatal extermination rate, I think abortions are leading homicide. I'm not dealing with this from a moral perspective. I want to be clear. It ain't about judging you. I'm just saying we got to rethink our political behavior. And they keep talking on us, talk about the Latinos is taking over. Well, let's talk about that. First of all, what the hell is a Hispanic in the first place? Do you know what a Hispanic is? A Hispanic is an African who speaks Spanish but who don't want to be an African. Their grandmothers are just as black as yours. Okay? My great-grandfather Cicero was a Spanish-speaking Cuban. Okay? And if most of you shake your family trees long enough, you're going to get a couple so-called Hispanics drop out as well, because during the transatlantic slave trade, they didn't bring us straight over to America. They took us to the Caribbean. And what were the two largest slave ports in the Caribbean up until the 1800s? Cuba and Puerto Rico. For those of you who know your Marcus Garvey history, you know that Cuba and Puerto Rico were the two most thoroughly organized Caribbean nations for Marcus Garvey's movement.
Yes, sir.
Imagine that. But the problem was when those so-called Hispanics, Spanish-speaking Africans came to America back in the 20s through the 60s, and they was filling out their paperwork, they would check white. Blacker than you. Head nappier than yours. White. And the white man said, hold up, what's going on here? They not white, they black. But they said, no, we don't want to be identified with them. We special. So in the 1960s, 1970s, white man said, I'm going to give y'all your own title because y'all not white. Y'all cannot claim white. Ain't nothing white about you. You got a big butt, big hips, just like the black women do. Ain't But what we want to do, we want to let you call yourself Hispanic, which is not a cultural word. It is a political title that the government created. Do your research. You don't have to believe me. And from 1970 into 2014, they've been letting Spanish-speaking Africans get away with calling themselves Hispanic. That's why when you look on the census or any job application, what do you see? Hispanic, not black. Black, not Hispanic. If Hispanic ain't black, why the hell you got to qualify it? Because it's the same people. Slave master dropped some of us off in the Caribbean and taught us Spanish, and brought the rest of us up here and taught us English. Same people. But that don't mean I go out recruiting Latinos, because some of y'all like to recruit people. Stop recruiting. Some of them are some of the most racist people you'll find. Yeah, they might be your biological brother or sister, but they can't stand your ass. They don't want a light-skin supremacy movement, and they don't want to be bothered with you. So I say that to say, for my Latino brothers and sisters who accept their Africanity, they my brothers. There's some out there who do. But for the ones who don't, the hell with them. That go for black folks too. Okay? For any of you in here, if you don't want to be black, I'm done with your ass. I'm not trying to rescue people from their ignorance. Some of us want to go around recruiting people. You know you black, right? Fill out these papers. Come and join our team. We don't own nothing. Come play. The reason why you got so many black people who don't want to be black is because we losing right now.
Exactly.
If you want to play football, if you want to join a football team, do you go find a team that ain't won a game? Or do you go find a team who's been winning consecutively? It is not within human nature to start at the bottom and go up to the top if you can start out at the top. So when Hispanic comes to America, the Hispanic say, okay, I know I'm African, but they ain't got shit. I'm going to go here and play the white card. Or the son. Or the Latino card. But I ain't going to say I'm black, because what good is saying I'm black in a place where blacks get no respect? That's why they do it. I understand it. I don't accept it. It's trifling, but I understand it. So that means 50 years from now, when we fix our problem and we got our own everything, they're going to come right on back. Julio and all of them. Red, black, and green. I need a job, Dr. Umar. You got to understand that. It's the politics of the race in between. It's the politics of the race in between. We got to be able to understand it. My biracial brothers and sisters, they African like the rest of us. But they have to make up their mind, some of them. Or whether you want to be a part-time African or full-time African. I know I'm not talking about my brother back there. Some of my other brothers and sisters who might be of mixed parentage, you're still African like the rest of us. But some of them have a schism, right? They want to be black on the weekends. And white during the week. Y'all know what I'm talking about. It ain't most of them, but some got that schism. I had a couple of them I had to check a few times. Like I'm noticing that when you with your white family, you don't even speak.
Wow.
See, you living two lives.
Wow.
It ain't that type of game.
No.
Make up your mind. You're either going to be black or you're not. I don't even see what the hard part is because white folks are clear that you ain't white. They have no schisms and isms and shit. You ain't one of us. And it's interesting because when we talk about interracial marriage, and some of y'all think we in a post-racial society, well,
we not.
let me tell you a little story. When I was working on my doctorate, we had to do our practicums. And I had a white woman. And she was an attractive white woman. I don't see too many of them. She had a daughter with a black man. So she came to therapy. I'm a student and got to do my practice. I ain't got no problem. I'll work with anybody. So we're doing therapy about her depression, and then I got to the root of the depression. Guess what it was? Her mother, her Irish white mother, forbid her from bringing her black daughter to her house. Beautiful little black princess too. 12 years old at the time, has never met her maternal grandmother because her father was black. And she used to come to therapy and cry to me every week about how I can't believe my mother would reject my child. That's right. So for all y'all post-racials, you better wake up and smell the damn coffee. I learned of another situation. I think I learned about it here in California, my last visit, about this white woman had a baby with this black man. They went to the restaurant to eat. She said she had to use the restroom. And never came back. She didn't want to be bothered with the fact that she had a biracial child. And this word biracial is just like Hispanic. It's a political creation. When you study blacks in America, you'll find that a lot of our people was biracial because of the slave master's rape and exploitation. Nobody called Frederick Douglass biracial. Nobody called none of those people biracial. They was black like everybody else. But all of a sudden in the year 2000, having a black mother or black father, you're biracial. You know what that's about? That's about divide and conquer, separate and rule. That's about creating schisms within the black movement. We've never had an issue with the biracial piece. They either identified with us or they didn't. They was black either way, but they either identified or they didn't. Now it's biracial because of Tiger Woods don't want to be black, it's biracial. Right. President Obama don't want to be black, it's biracial. Right. Halle Berry don't want to be black, it's biracial. But Mariah Carey don't want to be black, and she crazy as hell. She can stay on that side. Biracial. And did you see what they did with the 2010 census? Now they got multiracial. Damn. Now you can be multi. So now you got black people shaking their family tree, helping the crackers fall out. Come on, I know I got one in this tree. So you can check the multiracial box. I go on college campuses, I got black folks with black skin, big lips, big nose, nappy hair, talking about, I don't really know what to call myself, Dr. Johnson, because I got Asians in my family, East Indians in my family, I got this in my family, that in my family. When I'm standing up in there, I'm trying to think of something politically correct to say to this sick-ass Negro child. You look like Aunt Jemima personified. Talking about you don't know what a race your ass is. Hair nappy is it? What the? This is what we do. The illusion of inclusion. I'm talking to the girls in the class. One girl talking about, you don't know what you talking about, because I got Indian in my family, we got this, and we Choctaw, and we Seminole, and we this and this and this. I said, if you don't sit your ass down, you ain't got Indian in your family, you got Perm in your family, sit your ass down with that weed. You got that from the Korean store, ain't no damn DNA. Black people crazy. Don't nobody want to be black. Nobody. You go in the whole room of black folks. What are you? You get anything other than black? I'm Muslim. I'm Christian. I'm Catholic. I'm this. I'm this. I'm that. I'm multi. I'm quad. I'm this. Nobody want to be black. First of all, when you look at the census, most of them designees are alternative names for black people. On the census, you got that category about 10 or 15 titles, right? You got your Anglo. You got your Asian. And remember, the Chinese people in America, they tried to fight for the right to be white too before, but they lost. Y'all know that, right? Yes, sir. Yeah, Chinese fought for the right to be white and they lost. The Mexicans fought for the right to be white and they won. Okay? Irish, Italians, and Jews, they didn't become white till 1940. Y'all know that, right? Yes, sir. Up until 1940, if you was Irish, Italian, and Jew, what they call you? Guinea! Why do they call you Guinea? Because that black hair and that olive skin means your ancestors was dancing around with the women from Guinea, Africa. Oh. Yeah. But the white man needed more people in his army. Because, you know, they're not too good on the reproductives. That's why AIDS and Ebola is important. See, the one thing you got to understand, if I put it in a form of a question, why is it that nearly every time a black man was hung in America, he was castrated? Now, they hung Jews, but they never cut their penises off. They hung Italians. They hung Irish in America. They hung Chinese in America. The Anti-Chinese Act was brutal, but they never castrated them. But 9 out of every 10 times when they hung a black male, they castrated him. Do you know why? Because that was the white man's insecurity. Not the size of the penis. That's where y'all get wrong. Because not every brother is blessed. Let's not get it messed up. Let's not get, some sisters know what the hell I'm talking about. Okay, can we keep it real about it? Okay? Okay, some brothers have a white ancestor who won out. Willie Lynch came to him. Okay? Okay? It wasn't for his size. It was for his genetic power, not the size. It's the genetic power. No matter what his size is, when a black man lays with a woman of any other race, the product of the relationship is an African baby. We are genetic dominant. They are genetic recessive. So if I'm a genetic recessive who got plans of taking over the world because of my own genetic insecurities, if I can't match the black man's genetic power, I can't match his genetic penile power, that means I have to come up with an equalizer. And it's called the big black gun. If the white man wants to kill black life, he has to use a gun. If a black man wants to kill white life, he only has to use his tools. You see the difference there? We don't have to kill nobody. We want to turn a nation black, we ain't got to kill nobody. We just have to cohabitate with the women. In 20 years, that country will be tan. 40 years, that country will be brown. In 100 years, it will be black with one black man. But if the white man was to come into an African country and change the color of the people, he has to systematically exterminate. That's why the gun has always been called in American culture the great equalizer. What are you equalizing? You're balancing the genetic power of the black man with your power of extermination. And that's why whites are so damn gun crazy to today. It is the equalizer. Now, we got to understand that when slavery ended, the United States Congress decided on a 0 population growth rate for black people. Do your history. One of the first deliberations in Congress is what to do with the Negro. Well, they said the first thing we're going to do is not let his numbers grow. That's the first thing. And abortion was so effective to that end. In fact, they don't even just do abortion no more. They do hysterectomies. I remember I was in South Africa, riding to the airport. And for those of you who are interested, I'm going to have my second group trip to Africa, July of 2015. We're trying to do South Africa, Ethiopia, and Ghana. So start saving your money. Try to save about $5,000. No, you cannot bring your white girlfriend with you. No. Try to save about $5,000. You probably won't. I'm trying to get the tickets as cheap as possible. I'm not making any money on the trip.
Can you repeat that?
5,000. Ethiopia, South Africa, Ghana.
All right.
Okay.
And don't bring your white girlfriend.
Some of y'all try to cheat and y'all go get what they call them a Mediterranean woman. You don't really know what. Your birth certificate. What are you? Half orange, half purple. You cheat. Call yourself cheat.
sign up?
I should have the package ready when I get back out here on November the 1st. So what you can do, it'll be on my Facebook and my Twitter. It should be on my website too, but definitely Facebook and Twitter. So on Facebook, you want to get with me at Dr. Umar Ifatunde, Ifatunde, Dr. Umar Ifatunde. Not the other Dr. Umar Johnsons. Even though those have my face on it, those are not my page. Those pages are managed by the FBI, the CIA, and Homeland Security.
What?
Okay?
I got unfriend that one.
I got a lot of fake pages floating around. I got one fake page with like 30,000 likes on it. I don't even know who run the page. Got me on it and everything. Okay?
What?
It's called Diversion.
Wow.
Dr. Umar Ifatunde is the one that I control.
Okay. I'm glad you said that.
Ifatunde. Ifatunde. Just like it sounds. Ifatunde. Dr. Umar Ifatunde. Twitter, Dr. Umar Johnson. WhatsApp, Dr. Umar Johnson. Instagram, Dr. Umar Johnson. Or you can text me on my phone. 215, this is my personal cell number. Take it down, put it in your phone. 215-989-9858. 215-989-9858. You can text me around November 1st. I'll be back, Los Angeles, the Ebonics Conference at Charles Drew University on Saturday, November the 1st. I'll be back for that.
Repeat that one more time.
Which day?
The number.
215-989-9858. Ladies, it ain't that type of party. Okay? You send me a picture, and it's ugly, I'm gonna send it back with a restraining order. Hallelujah! Hallelujah! So, that's myself. Now, 95% of those with AIDS are living in the developing world. Black folks. Have you ever heard of the smallpox vaccination scandal? Back in the 1980s, the World Health Organization gave homosexuals in Los Angeles and Chicago and heterosexual blacks in West Africa a smallpox vaccination. And within 5 years, everybody they gave the smallpox to came up HIV positive. And you out there getting shots for flu viruses and shit. Oh, my Lord. You done lost your mind. And you got your kids. H1N1. You gave your child an H1N1 shot, Hispanics and Negroes. H1N1 shot.
That sounds nasty.
Bird flu.
Yeah.
So they put the little bird flu in you to stop you from getting the bird flu? Are you crazy? You don't take nothing they got. Why would the people trying to kill you help you live? Okay? And Bill Gates, he was caught on tape at a meeting. You know, he's a Bilderberg now. He finally got recruited to the Bilderbergs. The Bilderbergs is the highest ranking white supremacist roundtable think tank. He finally got invited about 2 years ago. Now, he's the richest man in the world. He just got invited, so you can imagine who the new is. He's over in Africa spreading disease through immunizations. Yes. Bill Gates is over there trying to make sure all the mothers are healthy before they have their babies, give them a prenatal shot, kids get the flu shot. Who the hell need a flu shot in hot-ass Africa? Okay? Common sense ain't common. Well, anyway, they caught Bill Gates on a radio interview. It wasn't a radio interview, excuse me. They caught him in a conversation. I don't know how they got to tape it. He was saying that if America's current program in Africa continued, we should be able to successfully reduce the population by 20%. Has anyone ever heard of Global 2000? It was a presidential decree, I think it was Jimmy Carter. That's right. Who said that we want to eliminate half the black people in the world by 2000. Now y'all see me 14 years late, right? That's right. They said they wanted to eliminate half the blacks on the planet. Hillary Clinton, former Secretary of State. Hillary, what did she say? Hillary said that America's #1 threat to national security is not Al-Qaeda, not the Taliban, not radical Arab Islamic terrorists. Guess what the #1 security threat is to America? Population control. That's right. They're more concerned about you having a baby than the Arab blowing up a damn tank somewhere. And of course, we know the Arabs ain't blowing up the tanks. Most of that stuff is being done by the CIA. They ain't done a damn thing. Anybody think 911 happened by Arabs, you crazy. All right? But my point is, that's why we see so many black women have stillborn babies. How can the black woman have the highest infant mortality rate in the developed world when you've been having babies longer than anybody else on the planet, and now all of a sudden you can't have them right no more? Right. Somebody talk to me. Black women been having babies for 2 million years, and now all of a sudden you can't do it no more. They're coming out dead. One eye. Well, that might have been because of the daddy. But anyway. And then y'all sisters give into it by taking the epidural shot. Epidural. I'm in pain. Well, it's labor. That's what it is. I'm in pain. White man come with the big needle in your spine. You need some more, sweetie? Now the baby don't take the epidural going to the bloodstream. Now the baby heart going crazy. Oh, I think we got to cut you open. I think we got to do a cesarean section because the baby about to have a heart attack. How the hell my baby gonna have a heart attack? They ain't even eat no chicken yet. What kind of shit is this? So then they cut you, pull the baby out, and once you get one C-section, they want all your babies to be C-section. Why? Because cesarean section birth is emergency surgery. They can bill the insurance company 3 times as much money. Wow, making money off black mothers. That's right. Furthermore, if I'm a delivery doctor and I'm being paid by the birth, what the hell I want to be dealing with you for 18 hours of labor? When all I got to do is cut your ass open, drag that baby out, and send you over to the surgeons to patch you back up. I can do 10 of them in a day. You see that? It's not economical to be dealing with one. And then you're dealing with white racist crackers. He don't want to look at no black vagina for 18 hours. And you wonder why the babies cry when they come out. The first thing a black child sees when they enter this world is a white supremacist. And you wonder why they cry. They've been in dark matter for 9 months, minding their business. And in one bust of the water, I come out and I see a blue-head, blue-eyed, blind devil. I want to go to hell back home. Push me back. Ancestors, get me. There used to be a time we couldn't have our babies in their hospitals. We used to have our own midwifery process. Our own birth mamas, our own doulas. What happened to that black woman? Do you know that white women are getting into the whole midwifery business? I read an article a couple months ago that said the amount of white women who have their baby at the hospital is significantly dropping. So a lot of obstetricians and stuff are going out of business because white mothers don't want to have babies at the hospital, and they don't even want their damn prenatal care. Because now they want you to take pills now for prenatal care. Help kill the baby before it come out. Why aren't black women still having babies in the house? I knew a brother, he said, my wife ain't going to the hospital. That brother ain't been trained in no medicine or nothing. Guess what? When that water broke, he put her on the couch, got the white blankets and sheets, and delivered his own baby.
Wow.
I don't recommend it, but I applaud it. Bang, bang. I can't deal with all that. See, the problem is black women got imported into the white Western world's way of civilization. The white woman wants to have a baby laying down. In African culture, you don't have a baby laying down because gravity works from vertical, not horizontal. In Africa, when they have a baby, there's a place for that, and the mothers is out there, and the queen come and they do their rituals and the ancestors and the Most High, and they make you squat like you're about to take a dump. And you push the baby out and they come out nice and smooth. Because the hips is pushing and the gravity working, you want to be sexy. So because you want to be sexy, you got to use the epidural. Why don't they make you stand up in the hospitals? This is nice and quick and easy because that's not civilized. Look at what civilization is getting you. All you black women in here need to consider doing what? Going to midwifery school. Yep, some of y'all need to get your license so you can start having babies. You're talking about a job, you need a job, I'll give you one. They go one right there. Charge a discounted rate. You get all the business you need in Sacramento. Because these white women charging $8,000 to come in your house and deliver your child. $12,000 to come in your house and deliver your child. Shit, my homie did it for free. But I really think y'all sisters need to get into that. That's something we're going to have at the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy for the girls. We're going to have a midwifery to doula program where I bring in midwives and doulas and teach our girls the science of giving birth. That's right. That's right. So when they graduate from school, they will know how to help other women bring that African life into the world. And from a political standpoint, what's the beauty of having a home birth? The white man don't even know that baby exists. Look at that! How many kids you got? None. You got 12. How many kids you got? None. I had them all in my house. I ain't gonna know about none of my damn kids. No taxes, no nothing. See, that's how it was back in the day. We ain't tell him how many people you got in your household. None of your damn business. And that's why y'all need to stop taking them censuses. I don't believe in filling out the census. The first census conducted in America was conducted at the end of slavery to determine exactly how many black folks were still alive. And they still conduct a census for Negro count. The census is about you. It ain't about, and then the bourgeois niggas come in and they say, we need you to fill out the census because that is how Congress determined how much money they want to give to the inner city in Sacramento. Now, how many damn censuses you done had since you've been alive, and what money you see come to Sacramento because of the census? They ain't giving you no damn money. They use it so they can redistrict the political boundaries to destroy black political power. That's why they do it. Okay, we got too many black people living on this side of Sacramento. We got to change this because if we don't bust this up, they'll be able to elect anybody they want. So what we're going to do is we're going to build a highway right to the middle of the damn ghetto and split them up and put a strip mall on the main street in the black community and force all them to move out. That's right. They redistrict black power. They redistrict black power. And the other reason they do it is to know how many black folks exist. So when we do our next Ebola campaign, we know where to hit them at. Where's the highest concentration of black folks in Sacramento? That's where we want to hit them at. And then we got to talk about environmental racism. Have anybody even done an environmental survey of Sacramento so we know what black people are living on top of? Are you living on top of a nuclear plant, nuclear waste, hazardous toxic dump sites? They did a study that showed that they had a disproportionate amount of hazardous toxic sites, not necessarily nuclear, but other types of toxic hazard near our historically black colleges and universities. Somebody said we need to do research and plot the cancer next to the damn toxic site and see if all this brain cancer and breast cancer and cervical cancer and prostate cancer, is it because the food we eat or is it because of the chemicals beneath our feet?
Sacramento City College. Know your land.
Know your land.
Know your land.
AIDS has reduced the life expectancy in several African nations to below 40 years of age. Such nations include Botswana, Malawi, Mozambique, and Swaziland. There's also propaganda with the AIDS thing. They try to make every African scared to go to Africa. Don't go over there, they all got AIDS. Don't go over there, they all got AIDS. First thing my cousin told me, listen, don't touch nobody while you're there, cousin. I'm not going to Africa to have sex. I want to build something. Yeah, when I heard they got AIDS, I was watching CNN. #1 killer worldwide for those 15 to 49 years of African age. At least $7 billion is spent every year in America on AIDS medicine. Did y'all hear that? $7 billion is what Wall Street is making off of AIDS, and you think they're looking for a cure. And some of y'all suckers for this kind of stuff. We're going to have a diabetes walk. We're going to have a hypertension walk. Pepsi Cola is going to donate $2 million. The paradox of the AIDS epidemic is that the drug companies have created a type of paranoia around it, which has everyone thinking that they may have it, which gets them tested with the antibody test, in some cases misdiagnosed, put on drugs that kill the immune system, which still leads to premature death. You died from the drugs, not the disease. But when you die, what they say, he died of AIDS. No, he didn't. He died of the drugs they gave him for the AIDS. 40 million people living with AIDS isn't enough for the drug companies. They want more people. More people. See, you gotta understand, white people want to live in Africa. White folks want to live in Africa. They tired of cold-ass Europe, icebox. And they ain't too happy with North America. Seasonal. They want that suntan year-round. But so they got to get us out of Africa. And a lot of people say, this, Apollo, how the hell are you going to get rid of all the blacks in the world? I'm not saying they can or they can't. I don't know destiny. But I do know they're doing a damn good job of it. AIDS is wiping black folks out. Abortion is wiping black folks out. And you know how they pushing the hysterectomies, right? Through the missionaries in Africa. That's right, they're using Jesus to convince black women in Africa. I've been, tell me what I know. They're convincing black women in Africa to get their whole reproductive system taken the hell out for $500 US in the name of the Lord. Because if you fornicate and bring out that child, it will be a curse of God. It will be better for you to just take it out. And we believe anything white people say is real. And in Africa, they worse than you psychologically. Because remember, colonialism in Africa didn't get into the 50s. They only 50 years out of theirs. You 150 out of yours. So they just now starting to understand that whites are not all they think they are. We already know, but they just now figuring it out. Remember, we started getting black Jesus pictures in the 70s. Remember Black and Pride? That's when they remixed Jesus into Lionel Richie. I'ma say Mama Sama Makusa, and some of y'all got Lionel Richie Jesus on your wall. That's right. That's right. You go into a black house now, my Jesus ain't white no more, Dr. Umar, but he look white with a suntan. Jerry curl. Metrosexual Christ, all naked with red lipstick on. That's right. Look at the black Jesus pictures. Why is he always half naked? The white Jesus got his clothes on. Black Jesus flexing, busting his stomach. Damn, man got his pubic hair out. Swag. If I'm wrong, tell me. Black Jesus, red lipstick, eye gloss, fake eyelashes from the Korean shop. Jesus Christ. You done lost your damn mind. Why you just can't get a black nappy-headed Jesus? You know why? Because you don't want to see nothing that looks like you. Like I said in Hidden Colors, you want to get the black church totally depopulated the membership? Put a nappy blue, black, purple Jesus up there. Nobody will come back to church next week. Like Dr. Ben said, religion is the deification of a culture. People take the best of themselves and they deify. What did Dr. Kwesi say? He said, anytime your deity looks like your enemy, when your deity looks like your enemy, you begging to be a slave. And then some of y'all say, Dr. Umar, what does color have to do with it? Color ain't got nothing to do with it. Color got everything to do with it. That man on the wall is in the White House right now. Look at him. Because his ass was light-skinned with good hair. Hallelujah. Barack Obama is just as much a sellout as Clarence Thomas. So why does Clarence Thomas get treated like shit in the hood and Barack Obama gets worshipped? Because he's light-skinned with good hair. And Clarence Thomas is blue, black, purple with a nappy head. That's right. We still got colorism in the black community. We still got light-skin supremacy in the black community. And I'm not talking about light-skinned Africans either. Light-skin supremacy ain't got nothing to do with your skin tone, but your mindset. In fact, most light-skin supremacists I know are blue, black, purple, who don't want to be around nothing darker than a brown paper bag. And then they mistreat a lot of our light-skinned brothers and sisters for no reason at all, projecting on them their own insecurities. I got a niece with green eyes, slave master. My nephew, green eyes. My father, green eyes. Niece catch hell because of them green eyes. She don't think she's better than nobody. But other African children with insecurity complexes project them on the hush. You got to catch hell. Y'all light-skinned folk know what I'm talking about. Yeah. Being singled out and mistreated. Don't get me wrong, some light-skinned folk do got a light-skinned supremacist shit. But I think it's the dark-skinned people who got it worse. Yeah. I meet some brothers. I don't date no girl unless she light-skinned. Damn. And then we got black-skinned supremacy. Oh, we got some people say if you ain't blue, black, purple, you ain't shit. Am I wrong? My light-skinned brothers know because the sister said y'all done fell out of style. Y'all not even in style no more. You gotta be Idris Elba now. Right. Terrence Howard fell out of style. Right. They want Tyrese. They don't want that pretty voice. Shamar Moore, they said that shit played out.
I know, right? done.
Idris Elba. But don't worry, fellas. Hold on. 10 more years, light skin gonna come back, and the brothers gonna catch the hell again. Dark skin. And then, ladies, y'all deal with it too. A lot of black men got a problem dealing with sisters who natural, especially if she's chocolate. Oh my God. She got a nerve to be purple and got locks. Where was you born? But even the light-skinned sisters catch hell when they wear locks. Am I wrong, ladies?
Yes.
The revolutionary bros talking all this revolutionary stuff and don't want a sister with natural hair.
Have a white woman.
That's right. Oh, no, I don't like her hair. Like, but brother, you said you for the poop. Yeah, but you know I still like it. Selling out ass, fake ass revolutionaries. I see them all the time. I get the emails. Dr. Umar, my husband's birthday was the other day, so he said he wanted me to be natural. For his birthday, I treated him to a natural. Came back home and he asked me what I do that for.
Wow.
That's right. Brothers, we gotta walk what we talk. That's why I can't even date a sister with a process. I can't do it no more because it's a contradiction for what I stand for. I work in schools and I work with little black girls and I'm telling them every day, all day, that there's nothing wrong with your hair. Kindergarten, first grade, second grade, all the way up to 12, nothing wrong with your hair. And then Dr. Umar coming in with a woman who thinks everything's wrong with her hair.
Right.
And brothers, let's not get it twisted. The reason why a lot of sisters are afraid to go natural is because they know deep down inside we talk that black power stuff, but we ain't ready to live it. We ain't ready to live it. You still want her with her perm and her slick back and her jerry curl. So love. But sisters, I'll say go natural. Go natural. I love natural hair. It's the most beautiful thing when a sister can be at peace with what God made her to be. In many African cultures, you cannot even touch your hair until you went through initiation and rite of passage. Because hair was divine and sacred. Our ancestors believed that your hair was an antenna.
Absolutely.
Your hair was an antenna that attracted spiritual energy down through your pineal gland.
All day, every day.
See that? That's why when you comb it, they go snap, crackle, pop. Pop, pop, pat! Pop, pat! There's power in the roots. Electric, you can start a fire with that thing. And you perm it out, and then now you got this whole thing now, because you know the chemicals that they put in the damn perm is strong enough now to go through the skull. And so now you got sisters getting cancer in their skull. I'm seeing all these black women now who now have to get sections of their skull removed because the damn perm juice then sunk into the skull bone and has toxified it.
Wow.
You are literally killing yourself to look white. Literally.
Wow.
And it's crazy because the white women trying to look like you now. Now they getting the lips made full of the big butt Kim Kardashian look. Kanye's a stupid ass. It bothers me that you got these rich black men who are willing to share and trade up a woman because she's of European stock but has the black phenotype, so the way they see it, they get the best of both worlds because I get a white woman with the big booty. And she going from Reggie Bush to Ray J to Kanye. If that was a black woman, they would have called her a whore. But because she's white, it's all right. Look at the double standard.